Everybody, welcome back to the Breakthrough Moment podcast. Deane here with expert copywriter Robert Russo. Thank you for being here, Robert.
Hi, Zach. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to today's show. And thank you so much again for having me on. I really do appreciate it. I'm excited for this.
You're welcome. I'm excited. We're going to dive deep into copywriting and learning your breakthrough moments. For those of you who don't know Robert, he's been in this space for over 5 years, and he helps businesses increase their sales and conversion through copywriting. So we're going to talk about all things copywriting and sales. A couple of side notes: Robert loves his golf, loves disc shooting, and is an incredible Italian food chef at home for his family. Just a couple of fun facts there as well. Robert, let's get started. Tell us about some of your pivotal breakthrough moments throughout your career.
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest pivotal breakthrough for myself and my business would be, of course, getting my very first client. And a lot of stress and a lot of work up front kind of went into getting that first client. And I can remember those moments too of me doing a lot of cold outreach, spending a lot of time after my day job, basically just glued to my computer, trying to keep my eyes open late at night, but just reaching out to as many business owners as I could at that time. And it was a lot of work just not being able to see the fruits of my labor right then and there as I was doing all of my outreach each and every single night after my day job. And when I finally did land that first client, it was a great sense of relief and a weight off my shoulders of just being able to finally see all of the work that I did leading up to that point finally appear in front of me, right? Because as I was doing my outreach each night, I was a bit discouraged, of course, because I wasn't able to actually see the light at the end of the tunnel with me being able to even get very many book calls at first, right? I was really starting just to learn the entire, scope of outreach and just having conversations with strangers essentially. So being able to finally land that first client was a great breakthrough in my business and my personal development as a business owner as well.
For sure. What a great feeling. We'll reminisce on those moments of what you mentioned before, of all that effort that you felt wasn't returning as results. I call it invisible results, because it's like action. Eventually you get the result. So you push through that. What like advice would you have then for other entrepreneurs or business owners who might be in a similar position, slogging away, doing the do, and they're still not finding the results? They're looking for that first client.
Yeah, I would say to just keep at it. I know it's pretty generic and a little bit cliche, but if it was easy, everyone would be doing it essentially. So I think the biggest thing you can do is just take a lot of daily massive action and just keep on putting those stones in place to really help to build your foundation. Because Rome wasn't built in one day. It's something I always try to remind myself of as well. And even if you may not see things happening in front of you, I kind of like to think of it as being like a radar screen sometimes too, where you may not be able to see what's outside of that circular radius of your radar and things that could be working its way toward you by you just showing up every day. So I think the biggest thing you can do is just keep on taking daily massive action and just know that everyone else who's in a point that you want to be at right now had to do the same exact thing you're doing right now in terms of trying just to get the traction built up, really.
For sure. I'm super curious. What was the client? What was the outcome they were looking for, that very first client?
So this first client was actually a fertility coach. She helps a lot of women who are struggling with getting pregnant. And her whole thing was to really just focus on your subconscious mind, to have your body and your mind at a very relaxed state so you can actually welcome a new life form into your body instead of the more traditional, methods of, fertility, ovulating calendars or temperature tracking or things like that. She kind of came with a different approach in being able to help women achieve their goal of becoming pregnant.
Wow. Okay. There you go. That would have been an interesting first client.
Yeah, it is very, very different.
So talk to us about copywriting. Like, have you had any, have you always been into writing? Have you always been really good at English and descriptive, storytelling? Like, tell us how did you get into it, and what does it take to become, I guess, good at copywriting?
Yes, so I never really was a very keen student on English, like doing essays or things like that in school, or even doing a lot of reading through traditional, textbooks. But the one thing I really enjoyed most was selling. I had a lot of sales jobs throughout my career, being, a teenager up into my early 20s and even up to this point as well. And I really fell in love with copywriting because it's essentially selling through written word instead of the more traditional methods of doing like door-to-door sales, for example, when you could be in front of prospects face to face. So I really love the challenge that it presented, as well as the persuasion aspect of being able to talk to people through written word, being able to help identify what their current methods are that they're doing, why it's not working for them. And then you introduce your unique process, system, mechanism, formula, and you present that as being something that's very new, easy, safe, and big to them, while also citing the benefits behind it. And that's kind of like the core principle of copywriting and how you introduce certain products or services to help people want to make a purchase to change their life, essentially. So the biggest thing with copywriting for people who may be interested in it requires a lot of research, I'd say, not just the writing aspect. But anytime you are going to be writing for a new client or just for an individual who wants to see some sort of results or help with their sales, it does require a lot of research up front to get clear on their ideal avatar, what their problems are, what their pains are, their desires, what current methods they're using right now to help, solve their problems, while also doing a lot of research up front into the offer that you're presenting to. So I'd say it's like 70-30 in terms of 70% of it being research and then 30% of it being writing. So it is a lot of work up front on the front end, and the back end is all the writing that would go into presenting those sorts of offers to people.
Mm-hmm. So cool. So do you have any tips? What are some do's? What are some don'ts for copywriting?
Yeah, say some really helpful tips if you are doing writing, let's say through email, for example, is to have a subject line that really does help to pique curiosity. It could be something very simple, very specific. It could call out a pain. It could promise a solution, or it could even give like a time frame to achieve results. So I think that the most important thing, if you are working through the email medium, is to have a subject line that wants people to click into it. Because if you don't get people to click into your subject line, your email is never going to be able to be seen. And then beyond that point as well, you want to have a very strong hook as the first couple sentences of your email as well, just to hook a reader in and get them to want to read the entirety of your email or your piece of copy in general. And one other good tip too is to have your writing be very short, punchy, and concise. Stay away from doing very long, blocky paragraphs or very condensed pieces of text, because it's really hard for people to be able to scan through that very readily or even really digest the information they're seeing. I kind of noticed that a lot of people these days have very short attention spans. I think I do too, just from, Instagram Reels, TikTok, other things out there that exist. So if you can really just have your copy be very short, concise, and punchy, it really helps your readers to want to not only read it, but it makes it easier for them to reach the bottom of your email as well, where you'll have a very strong call to action to really help with getting either your product purchased through a shopping page or get a call booked to discuss your program, things of that nature.
So good. So good. So I'm curious. You've probably written so many words, you've written so many, pages and articles and things like that. If you could go back now to the beginning of your career 5 years ago and change one thing about your copywriting or your business, what would that one be?
That's a really good question. I would say if I can go back in time, I would invest in a mentor at the beginning of my journey. Because when I first started out, I was doing a lot of self-teaching, whether it was reading all sorts of copywriting, physical textbooks, listening to audiobooks, listening to YouTube videos. I was doing a lot of things on my own that was really delaying my progress and my development and my skill set, when I could have just made that leap of faith into someone else who already had that knowledge and could actually show me how to increase my skill set so much faster. Because what I've kind of learned and heard over the time of being in this industry is that you either pay with your time or your money. And I spent a lot of my time up front, which is using my own time to kind of learn and hone in on the skill set of copywriting, when I could have just paid to invest in a mentor who could help to accelerate all that for me. So I say that's the one thing that I really wish I would have done differently looking back.
100%. That's the quickest way to learn, right? Is you get the right mentor, get the right expert. It just saves time. It literally, that's
Right.
probably the biggest way to time travel is to get a mentor.
Right.
To
Yeah.
so we don't have to go back in time. Not that we can.
Right.
That's really interesting. So the industry and technology in the world with technology and AI is changing constantly. And so how do you see, with certain AIs out there that do the copyright writing for us, how do you feel that's going to be impacting the copywriting industry?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So as of right now, I don't actually use any sort of AI for my actual writing per se, but I do use like ChatGPT for research. It's been really helpful for me to really cut down on the time that it would take for me to research, either an ideal target audience or even researching into different things about the offer that I'm writing about. So that's really helped to shorten my time of, scouring YouTube comments or Facebook groups or even Reddit to really do all my research and to really find what people are talking about. But in terms of AI for, let's say, actually doing the writing itself, I have kind of tested or tinkered with it a little bit, but I've noticed that it comes off not in the best humanistic tone yet. You can kind of tell as you're reading over it that it doesn't sound very unique or personable. So I've noticed it does struggle with capturing like a brand voice, whereas a human could, a human copywriter could either research someone's videos or, have an interview with somebody and then get a good sense for their brand or their image. And then twofold to that, I know that AI does, of course, struggle with being able to sell through emotion, because I know that, robots, of course, or software doesn't have human emotions and they can't really draw on human experience to really bake into storytelling. So I don't really see AI, taking over the copywriting space, but I do see it as being a very, very useful tool for copywriters right now as well. I kind of see it as being like a shovel, right? It's basically a tool to help you achieve a bigger goal that would be like digging a hole, right? Instead of having to do it by hand or using like a hand tool, you can use something like a shovel to help accelerate your ability to get something done, right? So I think it's a great tool for people to use for sure.
Definitely. That's a good point. Yeah, because I find that some of the AIs just don't really hit the mark. It is pretty good though when I've created some landing pages or social media posts. But yeah, I think it's interesting how kids are using it in university now as well. And there's AI to make it look like it's not an AI, so then the kids don't get, in trouble. But yeah, it's probably better to, like, especially someone starting out in business, to get a professional look at the copy to start there rather than going to AI first, because that's going to save a lot of time and just get better results for the client as well, right? So who is it that you work with specifically? And yeah, what type of, I guess, companies do you work with doing copywriting?
Yeah, so right now I have the fertility coach, as I had alluded to previously, and I also work within the financial space as well. I have another individual who's basically a day trader. He has a program that helps a lot of people with basically selecting and doing preset trades that he would, outline for you the night prior. So he runs that program to basically help people that have disposable passive income they want to be able to use to generate more income back into their own pocket. So that's kind of the program that certain individual runs as well. And I do also have a couples coach who I work with, and she basically helps couples with navigating conflict and helping them to connect on a much deeper level so they can have a healthy, flourishing relationship together as well. So lots of different niches, but they all kind of they all kind of require their own specialized set of attention because they're all different areas of like human endeavor between finance, health and wellness, and relationships too. So it's pretty interesting.
For sure. There's a lot of variety there. What would be the message you like listeners to leave with today? Is there one key takeaway in terms of copywriting they should take on board?
Yeah, I think that regardless of whatever industry you're in or whatever kind of business you have as well, if you are either online or at a physical, brick and mortar business, I think that capturing the power of email marketing is really, really crucial because at least through research that I've done, it's still the one tried and true method that really helps to convert prospects into buyers more than any other, marketing medium that's out there. So I think even if you don't have an email list built up right now, I think it's very imperative for everyone to try and at least make the effort to do so. And then once you do get a list of leads and you can start working with an email list itself as well, I'd say the biggest thing you can do is just engage with them, right? You don't have to sell with every single email that you send out. I'd actually recommend not doing that too, because it can really exhaust your list pretty quickly. But even if you're just telling personal stories about, struggles to triumph or just helping to engage your audience with very informative, educational, or just emails that help to put people in a better position than what they're currently in right now, I think that's the best thing you can really do is to just help to develop a likability, trust, and people who want to look forward to hearing from you. And then you can start doing the selling from beyond that point. So
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Spammy emails and messages. It's not the future. That's for sure. Um,
right.
that's so interesting. All right, cool. And do you have any challenges for the audience? What would you like to challenge them with this week? What could they, really start implementing into their business with copywriting this week as a challenge?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge that I have for the audience is just posting more and more content. I know people are kind of a little bit hesitant with making mistakes in their writing or just, having something that could flop. Maybe it doesn't get likes or comments. But I think the best way to kind of help to position yourself to your competition is to just produce content. If you can do it every day, that's amazing. Even if you want to do it 3 times a week and kind of work up to maybe 5 and then 7. I think just being able to put yourself out there and just, talking and just having a message put out there each and every single day, it's going to really help you down the road with being able to have your audience like, know, and trust you, and then be ready to finally make that purchase from you when you finally do position yourself with your product or your service through an ask for selling.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the advice today. And it's been an awesome chat. Please stay connected. Everyone at home, reach out to Robert. I'll link the links to his work and his website around here. And if you have needing a website, needing social media posts, what are the type of copyright that you specialize in, or is it all of it?
Yeah, so right now my main focus is on emails, social media posts, and I do a little bit of VSLs too. And for those of you who don't know what VSL stands for, it's basically a video sales letter. So if you have a landing page and you want a video to be met by prospects when they first land on your website, I do help to write the scripts for those videos too.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate your time.
Thank you as well. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Thank you.